major trend we see is a lot of kind of OTT TV video streaming services like Netflix and Amazon Prime really kind of leverage their partnerships with operators, particularly in emerging markets where there's low debit credit card penetration as well, a lack of fixed line infrastructure. So the mobile really is the go-to mechanism to pay for content. And by doing that, these kind of OTT TV video streaming players are leveraging the strength of the brand name and the marketing kind of brand strength of the operator, but also able to reach the base of those operators, the subscriber base of those operators that they would not usually be able to kind of target. It's a great monetization opportunity for them. In emerging markets, you know, this is very, very ripe. You're talking about places like the Philippines, in India as well, parts of Latin America as well as Africa as well. So that's a very, very good kind of strong kind of play and strategy for those players like Netflix, especially as they're seeing more competition come to them from the likes of your Twitters, your Hulus, AT&T's purchase of Warner for $85 billion last year, and Twitter as well, and YouTube Premium. So it really is a very, very clever way to tackle that competition by partnering with those operators. It's interesting because obviously Europe has very high kind of credit card, debit card penetration as well. There is very high penetration of active smartphone users. So kind of carrier billing, as we heard earlier in discussions today, is kind of being used in conjunction or as an option alongside kind of other payment mechanisms. But we're seeing a lot of opportunities open up in certain spaces like physical goods, so paying for kind of clothes or goods online really. Some kind of carrier billing providers are also trying to purchase or get into acquiring e-money licenses, which really kind of allow them to ensure that the flow and the kind of visibility of money, where it's going from and where it ends, is really quite visible to be in line with PSD2 regulation. Also, other opportunities are opening up in vending and smart ticketing as well. So we are going to see, I think, these kind of particular regions, developed regions and markets, particularly Germany, France, the UK, I would say, Spain, really pushing developments forward there for the rest of the ecosystem to learn from. We can see that obviously protection of data, of consumer data, is very important. So in our kind of DCB report, we were talking a lot with ecosystem players, and they were talking about the need to really kind of anonymize that consumer data really as soon as possible, because if there was a risk of it being, acquired, then we're in trouble basically. Tackling kind of typical threats such as iframe masking or clickjacking, for example. This is all going to be on the forefront, and really is a collective responsibility of operators, aggregators as well, billing providers. So that needs to come to the forefront. Another typical challenge is really awareness, raising awareness to consumers that, hey, carrier billing is kind of available here. It is a long kind of held argument whether kind of operators should take the lead on that really, because some would argue that they are not putting as much effort into kind of promoting that service as much as they do with the changes in the tariffs and their devices as well. But at the same time, we are seeing Amazon and Google Play kind of really proliferate around the world, particularly for Google Play in emerging markets. So at the same time, consumers will become gradually kind of more and more aware of it. It's just how fast will it kind of spread, really, that knowledge. Yeah, I think another challenge, probably that's not on the, well, maybe it is on the forefront of quite a few people's minds, is that we're hearing this talk about how new opportunities are opening up for carrier billing with 5G. And clearly, there's the opportunity to process data at the edge, so that's not in a central location, and that will be very relevant for certain applications like VR and AI immersive kind of gaming as well. Clearly, we can see that. However, in order for that to lift off, there has to be very strong kind of compute kind of power from kind of 5G and high bandwidth, right? That has to be allocated, but also it has to work, I think, with certain smartphones that don't need to be so technically advanced, because that way you're going to have strong take-up of the service across a range of different markets. If there is a requirement on the hardware side for that to be in place, you're going to see limited adoption for some time, in my personal opinion as well. So, great opportunity for 5G, but those issues need to be addressed, I would say. In general, the main opportunities with carrier billing are to be able to really monetize the unbanked. So people that have low debit card, credit card ownership as well, and use smartphones, quite actively, in their everyday life. So I'm very familiar with being able to purchase or make a purchase online. As well as that, there is the opportunity, I think, to kind of take advantage or capitalize on kind of impulseness, one-click purchases. So, for example, carrier billing shortens that stages of checkout time to purchase a particular good or a service, and for the consumer it means that that process is less complicated, less time consuming, so there's less risk of them abandoning the actual cart, shopping cart and their goods. So there is strong opportunity there to capitalize on those types of users as well.